Hey, is it just me or do these numbers not add up? Okay, so 6.4 thousand views, only 105 like. And I'm surprised because, I would think more people would have liked this, although I would disagree with them. So did some disagree or like that's a lot of comments, let's say, compared to how many people liked it. Usually the likes outnumber the comments, so I'm not sure. So what if I do a study of the comments? There's a lot, and find that hey, there should be a lot more likes or dislikes. Although I don't think I've seen a channel that actually shows the number of dislikes. I'm not sure if that's possible to actually turn that on. When I see like one dislike, I'll put a comment because nobody wrote any comments for why. Say, whoever disliked it, can you please, provide your opinion if you have one? Or did you actually just, want to press a like and you didn't, which also doesn't include a comment of why you liked it most of the time. But anyways, so look, another thing that's off in the numbers. Now mine's not at the top based on them pinning it. It's at the top because I'm signed on. But look how many people liked or disliked. Wow, in Canada. And yet, and mine was 20 hours ago. This one, 21 hours. 18 people liked it, 5 replies. Don't even want to read what it's about. Not concerned about that right now. 1 like, 2 replies. 3 like, 1 reply. 14 likes. Okay, let's find one that's 29 minutes. Well, too early. Let's find one that's less than 20 hours. 3 hours, nothing yet. 21 hours. I guess a lot of people, well, this one is 13 hours, 1 like. 6 hours, 3 likes. 2 replies on this one. And sometimes you can pick up a lot of the same people, let's say, that, that follow certain themes. 19 hours ago. So after mine, 4 people liked it, 2 replies. Okay, let's read this one or anything else that's between 16 and 19 hours. If government takes poll referendum, which sounds democratic, I am sure majority of citizens would answer no. Taxpayers' money should be utilized for the betterment of Canadian citizens first, and if there is surplus, then use it for virtue signaling, aka Ukraine. And this is when a politician would say our country entered in an agreement. Well, it's an agreement we will never succeed at, so why not rewrite the agreement with what my comment said, by the way? I don't mind, and by the way, my comment was generous not to add that, the 5 nations that were on the Security UN Council shouldn't even have a big role in the new world order after dissembling NATO and the UN, by the way. Okay, let's get back to this. I don't mind if the expense is going to be fully covered by our honorable PM and his cabinet, because it looks like their initiative. Most citizens are hardly interested in so-called global issues when local economy is struggling, job losses, inflation, recession, addiction, homelessness, you name it. Okay, so I agree with a lot of these points, except this person sounds, not global centric, let's call it. So, which I don't agree with. I just think we should be ecocentric and have very, very different strategies than politicians that studied politics and economics, for example. Okay, so let's see. Do we not have the ability to see this? Okay, it looks like I can't see it right now. Okay, anything else that is within... There's a like here for 14 hours. Canada should return to peacekeeping only. Donate all leopards to Ukraine. After tax, fix the homeless issue in Canada. Okay, well, that's a theme that's come back. That's 19 hours, 21 hours. Let's find one that has a lot of comments. This one, 19, no, wait. 5 comments, 21, that's okay. Just looking for one that's a bit younger than mine and that has a lot of people talking to see what they say. 20 hours. I don't know if it came before. Don't send them everything we got, but send them 15 to 20. Yes, absolutely. And then what did other people say? CBC have already published a story saying that Canada is considering sending 4. They need to be replaced anyways. Let's put them to good use instead of tossing them away a few years later. Even the unfixable ones can be used for spare parts. Yeah, they will likely blow up. So, yeah, you don't want to send brand new stuff, for example. That's a good point. That's not what I'm saying, though. Perfect, I'd send them. They will stand tall with us later and supply us with grain. Much better friends than Russia. I guess you're right. Let's put them to good use there if we are getting new ones in the future. Now, how do these people know they're going to be put to good use? Because good use for this person, Sammy, is very unlikely fitting my definition of good use. Okay, so again, you know, this is like, oh, I'm sending money every month to this African kid. And, you know, like, how do you know what's really happening to this money and how much of the kid really gets and all this stuff, right? It's like you got to follow up with your opinions to see if they reflect the reality of what you're giving an opinion about. No, Canadians need desperate help. Stop throwing away our money. Okay? Four people like that. So you could see that there are replies. 3 replies to 1 word. That's pretty sad, though. This isn't World of Tanks, kid. Kid, okay, I don't know. Maybe he looked up that it is a kid. Stick to video games because in reality, Russia bias is real. Bias. Europe cannot be allowed to fall. That's the bottom line. Now, if he's talking to a kid, like, I don't think the kid will understand this unless he explains it, by the way. He or she. Europe cannot be allowed to fall. It sounds like an action movie. That's the bottom line. Yeah, send them all. They needed to be replaced anyways. Okay, so that's a theme. 21 hours, 4 replies. Let's look at this last one. As I said yesterday, okay, so I'm sorry I didn't know what you said yesterday. But, I mean, I start sentences like this too. These tanks will never go to Ukraine. They have to be built first of all. Poland, NATO member ordered. Okay. Okay, so yes, wrong, and the vast majority of leopards are... Nothing I said was wrong. You are clueless. So this, by the way, is people that would go to war, okay? So they are not having, you know, they shouldn't be mediators, right? You are given precisely nothing to refute anything I said. Without evidence, your words are just here, personal opinion. Okay, so this is, you know, the limits of our ability to use English language. Comes back to my ability to use the English language as a French Canadian. And here's what I said in case you guys didn't read it. I'm going to start by, like I said yesterday. Wow, CBC News allowing comments on this topic. Well, you know what is I think there was screening of comments here because, you know, I think we're missing a lot of the things people would have said, like, for example, extreme anger or disgust or attacks on, you know, politicians like Trudeau. You would typically see this. So I think there is some sort of triage of what is allowed or not allowed. So this is undemocratic, right? It doesn't reflect the ability to have free speech or express opinion. And I'm not criticizing, you know, one person or one news channel or one politician in particular. I'm just criticizing the norm for not noticing this, and I have to do a vlog about it. So here's what I said, which reflects some intelligence, and you can tell people were there after me and before me who might have gone back and seen, hey, there was a reply. Now, this is a little bit more to read, right? Okay, but you would think, hey, if somebody has a high school diploma, this should be nothing, right? This is like you were given a lot more to read for a high school diploma. Yet somehow people are brilliant after a high school diploma or more. Wow, CBC News allowing comments on this topic. Canada should not send tanks. Canada should send mediators with a strong approach to focus on accountability for future generations as the main goal during the mediation proceedings, and also insists that any member of the UN and or NATO should sign a declaration to dissolve both the UN and NATO should this war continue past March 1st, 2023, because obviously the UN and NATO failed in their duties or don't exist as who they claim to be, or both. There should be an immediate ceasefire when, and of course the strategy I apply later needs to have the UN and NATO disband. There should be an immediate ceasefire when mediators come to the table in Canada. Now that should be stated by mediators. We are announcing we're the mediators, other countries are backing us up, and here's the invitation. And, if you have embassies in your country, make sure that you do those proceedings, that the invitation is clear, and that whoever comes should come, whether it's on time or not, whatever, send whoever. That's the date, you show up. That's a condition, because a country that's been at war with another for this long, during the Anthropocene, when we have other resources that should be, as other people were saying, allocated elsewhere, it's serious. Officials decide to show up in good faith or not, for the sake of coming to an agreement during this period of ceasefire. Now, if the ceasefire doesn't hold, right away, you don't stop the mediation, whether they show up or not. You make public statements. So far, we've decided to give, Russians or Ukrainians a little bit more time or video abilities or whatever it is, but they are being penalized with this point system that mediators have decided on behalf of the entire planet. And if none of them show up and none of them stop this ceasefire, then it makes it very easy to apply the strategy I'm mentioning here. So if any other nation should offer only humanitarian aid if they want, they should do it equally to both sides. Now that's fair, and that lends a rule that makes it more likely that mediation should not be refused, because there is harm done on both sides. You just have to figure out what is the appropriate humanitarian aid on both sides. And when I say that, I'm not talking to the government. I'm talking to organizations that are allowed to go there to give it to the people that were harmed, that lost their kids, who felt they had no choice but to go fight in this war. And these parents had kids that now won't have a provider, or whatever it might be, or rebuilding stuff, or food, or basic needs. Should both Ukraine and Russia fail during their mediation by showing up or not, or just arguing for the same things, like they're not getting the point that this is not a mediation about what is your version of winning or losing, or consequences or reparations. It's actually related to the future of your own kids that you're not thinking about, that'll go back to war if we don't stop you so-called, people primates of intelligence now, right? When it's not true. Then all nations would now see them both as one nation. Of fighting children to be banned from the new international order, which is needed, forming during this Anthropocene. And I would point maybe Jacinda Ardern as somebody to be maybe structuring a fair way to create this new world order of countries, and likely would not be most countries in there, because you have to pass an accountability kind of criteria where you lose points and you're kicked out very quickly. There's no chances to be renamed by Canadian mediators. Why did I decide that? It's just because I had to decide, because I didn't say to be decided by somebody else or this person or whoever. No, just make a choice, and that's the rule. And you can suggest things if you want, other nations, or even Ukraine and Russia, when you realize you failed and now you are being deemed by the rest of the world to be one nation with a new name. And that's the way the rest of the world will treat you, whether this new order is finalized at that point or not. After that point, after March 1st, all nations seeking any form of interactions with this new borderless merger into one nation, there's no more border between those two who can't get along, should deal with them as one nation. Why does my response seem so firm to you, the Homo communia, the people primate of this epoch? The common man, woman of the day? Simple. I understand the definition of the word Anthropocene. I am in touch with the true nature of the human condition, and also I seem to be required as an individual who must care on your own behalf for all of your own children and grandchildren around the world. Professor Marty. P.S. The Canadian Armed Forces has not deteriorated because they don't have enough funds. They have deteriorated because of the same issues as all cultures around the world, be they military-based or not. They are now made up of individuals who live and die lacking an ability to undergo their own maturation process as people primates. I'm not making this stuff up. The evidence is just open your eyes. I mean, just look at the way you live your lives, or you respond to things or don't respond to things, or think this is fair or unfair, or he's going to get his and they're going to get theirs, and you don't understand anything about referencing the outside world outside of yourselves. Yes, I noticed that typo. I'm going to fix it.